My mom snooped through my room, found out I'm pregnant, and now I have to hide my abortion plans, by user Lucky Landscape 3184. Yesterday, I went to a concert, and when I got home, I was almost certain my mom had gone through my stuff. I'm almost 21, yet she still pressures me to stay on birth control, even though it's caused me all kinds of health issues in the past. That's why I've decided to switch to an IUD. To complicate things, I recently found out I'm pregnant and have decided to get an abortion while also getting the IUD. But here's the thing, I have to hide all of this from her because she's the least comforting or supportive person I know. When she came home, she insisted we talk in my room, which felt off to me immediately. I refused, sensing something wasn't right. She then pretended to ask about my day, only to end the conversation with, "Show me your birth control pills so I know you're taking them." That's when it hit me, she'd gone through my drawers and figured out I wasn't using them. I'm also sure she saw the positive pregnancy test I had hidden there. Instead of asking me how I'm doing or offering any kind of support, she just coldly said, "Abortion isn't a form of birth control." I feel completely violated and alone. Am I wrong for feeling this way? And how do I navigate this situation while keeping my plans private? Is this enough to move out? Entitled Dad and Brother Try to Control a Trip They Won't Be Going On, by user Mortitrox. Background: I, 20M, have been having a rough year. I've been attending college and before recently was on a streak of poor or failing grades that lasted 2 quarters through a combination of burnout, poor management, and plain old depression. This has delayed my advancement to a baccalaureate to next year. Luckily, I'm doing much better this quarter due to a lighter load and making extra sure I don't start slipping. So recently the 4th My Hero Academia movie released in theaters. I've been following the manga for about 2 years, and I've been rewatching it with my mother recently, so we were planning on going to see it. However, I was only about 3 to 4 weeks into the quarter and I was paranoid about slipping back into the previous 2 quarters. So, I delayed it until my midterms were over and I was confident that I wasn't just going to go 3 for 3 and truly screw myself over. The issue is that I wasn't aware that anime movies don't stay in theaters as long as normal movies. In the week or 2 that I had put it off, the theaters near me had already stopped showing it. However, there was one place still showing it a couple hours away, so not all hope was lost. I'm still doing training for my driver's license, so I made a plan to go bus hopping to go see it. It would take a while, but it wasn't like I had anything pressing besides work or school, the woes of having all your friends at distant colleges. My mother had only reached season 6, the movie takes place early in season 7, so I was just going to see it now and watch it again with her once it went onto streaming services. I inform my family of my plans and Entitled Dad immediately declares that it's not going to happen. He made some decent points like the possibility of being stranded if something wrong and the bus failed, the cost of the bus fare, how hard it would be to reach me if something went wrong. But the core of his argument was literally just it's dumb and referencing a time last year when I took a train to visit a friend a city over and the bus was late, resulting in a delay. He twisted this into me being an hour late and needing to be picked up before I reached the destination. Because of that, I was always going to be picked up at the last leg, it was either that or walk 15 minutes, refusing to listen to what had actually happened. Upon hearing this, my mother offered to just drive together since she did not care as much as I had assumed about seeing the movies in the correct chronological order. We eventually worked out a time, I bought the tickets, and everything seemed fine. I made it clear to her that she didn't need to go just for me and I thought that was that. Then Ed found out. He immediately goes straight to me to repeat that this is dumb and shouldn't be happening. The problem is that all his valid arguments from before were nullified by the fact that I was going with someone else and not relying on the bus system. So, all he had left was saying it's dumb to drive an hour and a half to see a movie and what I'm about to get to next. The counter to the first point that my brother drives longer to see his concerts on the regular was met with a simple "they're not the same," with no attempt at anything deeper. They really aren't, they're both entertainment, so it just comes down to how much enjoyment you get out of it. I detest crowds and loud noise, so I wouldn't go to a concert the same way my brother wouldn't drive to the movie. Furthermore, Ed framed the delay as a failing on my part, telling me to stop using it as an excuse and just accept my punishment. He continually hammered home that I could have made time for it, but I chose not to, refusing to see it as anything but a scheduling issue rather than a priority one. But then came the worst of it. Ed and my brother spent the next couple days trying to convince me that no, my mother didn't actually want to see the movie. She was only going because I wanted to, and in the words of my brother, that's why she tolerates the show. They reiterated that I was pressuring her into wasting an entire day just to make me happy. I genuinely felt awful that I might be taking up a bunch of her time to do something she had no interest in, so I called her up. She spends most of her time recently at the old house she is renovating to rent out, and made it expressly clear to her that she didn't need to do this if she didn't want to, that I could ultimately wait the 6 months for it to hit streaming platforms, and she reconfirmed that she wanted to go see it with me. Let me remind you that this is a trip that they're not going on, that doesn't impact them in any way. They just feel the need to override what the people going on the trip want because they're convinced that they know better. But they kept bringing it up with the same points as the planned date drew closer. That I was selfish for going through with this, that I didn't actually care about what she wanted and just wanted to see my movie, that I needed to be the bigger person and tell her to cancel it instead of just giving her the option to do it. They kept telling me that my mother was lying to me, that I shouldn't trust what I heard or saw but that they were right. And when I didn't have a response to "we're right no matter what she says or what you see," my brother would smugly claim, "You don't have response, you know we're right." And every conversation would end with Ed incoherently shrieking at me that I needed to cancel it and stop being selfish. Even calling up my mother to check again that she wanted to go and her eventually deciding to directly talk to them just got Ed to go to me immediately afterwards to start another rant. And as always, no new points were made. The day finally came, my mother and I left early to catch the noon screening. I paid for the tickets and gas, and we had a great time. We listened to OSB's hour-long mummy video on the way over, chatted about fantasy as I tried and failed to explain Warhammer to her, and grabbed some lunch. The movie was, well, an anime movie, mostly just build up to the final fight scene, but the animation was fantastic. The villain really carried the movie with his sheer pure evil flair, and my mother enjoyed the romantic subplot between the movie original characters. I would have preferred that they used the female lead of the series more, but that's a criticism shared for all the movies. We drove back, and while we did get stuck in a traffic pileup that delayed us an hour, we both thought it was a satisfying day. Ed and my brother still dismiss the whole thing as completely stupid, and my brother in particular made comments about how he'd seen the movie and it was absolutely not worth it. He also says the same thing about the series, but I've seen the merch on his shelves. He's got way more than I do. Seems he doesn't like enjoying the popular thing, even weeks afterwards. In-laws told autistic husband to get rid of his guinea pigs, by user Jabe. Bro, I can't frankly even compose myself, I'm so fucking mad. So my husband, 29M, is autistic and super attached to his guinea pigs. There has been a fly infestation in the house long before we moved in with my husband's parents. BC, they have a backed up garbage disposal always filled with rotting food. Today my in-laws cornered my husband in the kitchen right after we got home from work, and Phil started yelling that there are flies in the house BC of the guinea pigs so that the flies would go away. He did not specify how he thought the flies would just vanish. It's been only a few hours and my husband is fucking devastated. He's being a trooper, but I can tell how hard he's taking it. I hate my in-laws. I hate these people and I desire nothing more than to move away from these monsters, but it's right now it's this OR on the streets, so the advice to move is kinda just a slap in the face. I dunno, I'm just really struggling and I feel like this crosses a line in a huge way. Grandma is mad I told her to stop touching me, by user confident thanks 143. Context, I, F19 if that's relevant, live with my dad and my grandma. My dad first moved in with his parents when my grandpa's Alzheimer got worse and he started having a lot of accidents. After that I moved in with them when I was 12. I used to live with my mom in another country, but she ended up in jail. Last year we had to move my grandpa into a nursing home. We had a government helper, but she only came 2 hours a day and it wasn't enough. He had started needing more help and my dad and I didn't come home until 4 p.m. We visit him every Sunday. Things before I moved with my dad weren't very good. I was basically homeless because my mom would spend the money on shit that didn't matter. When I was 10, one of her friends tried to rape me when she asked him to take me to school because she was at work. After that I hated physical touch. It's gotten much better, but every now and then I have days in which I hate being touched. Today is one of those days. Lately my grandma has been giving me lots of talks. My dad has complained to her about this and told her to stop because he's the parent, not her, but she doesn't care. The incident: I was on the couch waiting for my dad to finish smoking so we could leave to visit my grandpa. My grandma saw me and sat on the arm of the couch and grabbed my leg, hard and close to my crotch, and started rubbing my arm, also hard. I tried to get her hands away from me, but she gripped me harder, and when she started giving me a talk, I told her to stop touching me and she looked at me offended, stopped touching me and left while muttering stuff like "this is the last time and for me to remember that." Now we are at the nursing home and we are not interacting much, but when we do she treats me like shit. Edit. I appreciate all the support you have given me and all the advice, but I think some of you have let your mind wander too much. Some of you are acting like she should be put on a sex offenders registry. What she did was wrong, yes, but you guys are acting like she's molesting me. When I said that she grabbed my leg near my crotch, I meant that her hand was too high, a good 10 centimeters from my crotch, not that she was 1 millimeter away from fingering me, which some messages I received seemed to believe, and also she didn't grab me there in a creepy way. She was facing me on the arm of the couch, aka opposite from where the couch was facing. When I said she grabbed my ass, it was a soft pat, which is normal in my country, which I know for some it's very weird. When I told her I didn't want her to do it anymore, she stopped. Anyways, I hope this doesn't come off as rude, but I would appreciate it if you stopped speculating. She's not a woman with intentions too horrible to even mention, she's an old bitch with no sense of boundaries, who is a bit narcissist. My mom keeps opening my mail even though I told her not to, by user Spiderman Rocks 6766. Her logic is my house, my rules, I can do what I want. But she doesn't seem to realize that opening someone else's mail is a federal crime. It's just really starting to piss me off. It almost feels like she's purposely doing it to annoy me and to just be nosy. It's such an invasion of privacy. If I done the same to her, I know she'd be mad.